What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name is Greg. What I'm doing for you guys is an episode on my current beef with Uber. I've got some beef. All right, now we go way back, Uber and I, and we've had plenty of dealings, usually me cussing my brains out and getting an automated email in response. Cussing out the automated email, you know. So it's a cycle of life that I have with Uber. So, some things to just preface. Obviously, this is not the car that I'm usually in. I did a video on why I'm not in that car, but adjust this a little bit right quick. But that being said, still gonna get everything we need done. This is a beautiful Kia Soul. I actually, when I was doing Lyft Express Drive, I drove a Kia Soul for a while. It was the rental car they gave me. And I actually really liked it as an Uber car. The only thing that sucks is that tiny little trunk. Airport rides aren't the most ideal. Some things that are cool, here in Arizona, at least, well, in Phoenix specifically, it looked like drivers weren't going to be able to do the airports anymore, but that did not go through. I talked to someone about that the other day. That was a very illegal thing, I guess, that the airport was attempting to do. So there was some substance to that story. There was a lot more than met the eye on it. I was not aware. So I know for all my Phoenix drivers, you guys are probably stoked about that, because I was ticked about that. I was not happy when that happened. But anyways, let's jump right into this. So my beef with Uber, this has been the common trend I've seen, is that when you really break down all your expenses, you're making $10 to $12 an hour, maybe 13 to 14, maybe. Now, when I say really break it down, I'm saying after a year, once you've paid taxes, looked at all your gas, all your expenses, everything you ever paid out to do this, what are you really left with? Because I'm telling you, it is not as much as you think. It really isn't. I was breaking down a lot of stuff, and here's where we all get tripped up as drivers, is we go out on Saturday and Friday and we're like, oh, that was killer. And you're right, it was killer. You definitely made way more than $10 to $12 an hour, even after you break down expenses. You indefinitely did. Problem is, if you're doing even more driving and adding up all those weekdays, it doesn't add up to that. It really doesn't, because as soon as you're making closer to like 17 an hour, you got to think about what that looks like once you've broken it down. It does not look like 17 an hour. It sure as heck does not look like 20 an hour. So, that's been my biggest beef, is that the money, I'm not positive it's there anymore. I'm not positive. I think with quests and stuff, you can make it work, but I want you guys to do this. I want you guys to take a month of expenses and just go to a Staples or something, pull up your mobile banking app if you've got one, and print out your entire month of expenses and add up every single thing that is like Uber and Lyft related. I'm talking food, everything. Now with food, I'd say you can deduct that from like your grocery bill, but you got to think like it's still way more expensive than if you packed your lunch. And I've gone over this in so many videos. Fast food is still expensive in comparison to what it would cost you to make your own lunch each morning. So break down your fast food, your oil changes, your tires, brakes, anything you used for that month, all the little waters you buy. If it's a tax write-off, I guess don't worry about it. But like, again, if you're actually writing it off, I know a lot of drivers that just don't write off anything, you know? So don't say that and then think, like, I'm saying that because you got to add up everything. Because when I added up everything, I was honestly sickened with what I saw I was really making. And after expenses, it's about 10 to 12 an hour. Now, why is that? Because they've been cutting us for years, and it's not going to stop. The cuts, I think, will, but like, one thing we've got to understand is it's kind of just supply and demand. It's kind of just the chain of business. And it's the fact that this company is broke and they're trying to, they're making progress. They've definitely made progress in the last few years, but it's because they're laying off employees, giving a ton of cuts to drivers, doing things that like never really benefit anyone, you know, because they can't, if they put the price up too much, well, then it's not going to it's not going to work, you know, because a lot of people will take Uber less and less and less, and then maybe they go to Lyft more, but eventually that same thing will happen with Lyft. So where did they really go wrong as a company? I think the biggest place they went wrong is they didn't expand internationally quicker. Because I don't know if you guys know, but in a lot of places in Europe and stuff, there's like a lot of companies that started their own rideshare form. And Uber never got a chance to break in. Uber should have dominated every market. There's no reason that Uber and Lyft should not have made a presence in like every single market. And I think that would have helped them in the long run so much. I mean, especially in like Asia. I think it was China or Japan. I honestly can't remember which one, but they're responsible for like over 30% of all rideshare rides internationally. It's probably got to be China then. That wouldn't make sense. That was Japan, way too small. But like, think about that. Think about the fact that out of all the rides taken in the world from all the different companies, this one spot, you know, is dominating 30% of the entire market. Now imagine if Uber would have just gotten their hands on it. Why they didn't do that, I don't know. I couldn't find anything on that, but that's been the biggest thing that I think hurt them. Now, why does that matter? Well, in truth, it doesn't, because it's not going to change. But it does explain why I believe this has just drastically gone down as the years have gone on. I mean, it used to be so plausible to literally make a consistent 25 an hour, and we'll call that maybe 20 to 18 or 17 after expenses. But still, that's still really lucrative. $10 to $12 an hour and destroying your vehicle is not lucrative. It's bad. It's hurting you more than it's helping you in the long run. Now, some of you guys know this about my story, but the reason why I preach on this so heavily is I had a car that I got really screwed over on. It was a Nissan Altima. And I've told this story a few times, so if you want to hear like the full story, go look for it. But basically, I had so much negative equity because I destroyed this car working for basically $12 an hour. And so what happens is I've now got this high mileage vehicle. It needed all these repairs, and now I can't make money because I can't drive it. And I still owe $7,000 on it. I think it was even more than that. I think it was $9,000. So not only do I have to buy a new car and absorb that debt into my new car, but the problem is the cycle continues, you know, and it just kind of never stops. And that's why I get worried. I get really worried about people that drive full time, because I'm like, I don't understand how you could make that work and not have it really affect you 2 years down the road. So I talked to this guy this morning because now I'm taking rides everywhere, and he was telling me that he just does 2-3 hours every morning, and he's like, my only goal is to make $50, you know, and he usually does. Every now and then he makes 40, but that's his only goal. And I was like, you know what? You're the one person who's probably doing this the right way. I got hiccups. Sorry, guys. I'm just not letting them out. But that's my main feud. The other thing that's driving me crazy is they've been stringing drivers along for years now. And what do I mean by that is they've been in this constant flip of working towards automation and then getting sued for it. And then working towards this or that, and yeah, they get sued for it, or it just backfires. And they're not even remotely transparent with the drivers about where they're headed as a company. And it's so shaky right now that, like, I just feel like it would be wise. I mean, it'd probably cause way too much alarm, and maybe this is why they don't do it, but I feel like it would be nice if every now and then they just let people know what they were really doing. Because you hear things all the time. Like, that blew my mind. It was like 3 months ago. They were like, oh yeah, we just laid off over 400 employees. I'm like, well, that can't be good. You know, and it's just a cut in an attempt to make more money because they're broke. But like, so many of us are so dependent on this, and the times where I was dependent on it and then I couldn't do it, it really hurt me. And that's what I hate, is you start out with this mindset of flexibility, and I'm going to do this while I start my business part-time. Like, I don't think there's too many people that are just like, I want to do this full-time until they've done it part-time for a while. You know, or you do it full-time for a season while you're looking for a job, and then you start really liking it, so you do it more and more and more. So what I don't like is that, you know, you slowly get tricked into wanting to do it constantly, but then you become more dependent on it than you were with like almost any other job. And that's what happened to me, is I got so dependent on it that it was dictating my life more than it was adding flexibility. So that's why I think if they were a lot more real about where they were at, there's a lot less people that would be getting deceived into this lifestyle of like, oh, this is going to take care of me and I'm going to do it on my terms. It'll take care of you if you work 50 hours a week. It'll take care of you if you sell yourself to it, because A, it changes daily, and B, you make $10 to $12 an hour. So I don't know if you guys heard, but the latest thing they're working on, and this goes back into the automation concept, is they unleashed a new model of it. It was a self-driving Volvo. So it was so out of the blue, because I hadn't heard talks of automation from them in months. I thought it was something, I never thought they were giving up on it, but then they released this out of the blue, and I was like, man, like, so what does this mean? Are you going to be unveiling this in the next 3 years? Like, do we all need to start looking for new jobs? What does this mean? And there's never anything from them, as usual. So the last thing I heard about the Volvo is it's being tested throughout the nation. And I guess we'll just see what happens with it. Last time they tested it, it freaking ran someone over. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. But I want to just finish this off. I've said this from the get-go, and I'm going to keep saying it. You need to, like, really be having a backup plan. You need to be working on something else if you're that dependent on this, because I just would never bank on this being around for a significant amount of time. I've always said I thought it would be within the next 3 years. I would say I still kind of stand by that, maybe 5. But if you think you'd be driving that long, I would start getting a side gig, some kind of hustle. I've always said, just do some sales right out of your car. It works. Trust me, I did it. But yeah, so let me end the video right there. It's good to be back with you guys. Have a great rest of your week. Like this video, subscribe, and I will talk to y'all soon.